Hello and welcome to Friday with the Chakontas. I am Mr. Chakonta
And I'm Mrs. Chakonta.
and we are back with a new episode.
Hello, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. For any new followers or any new listeners, welcome. I hope that you're going to find what we're going to talk about useful, and we would appreciate your contribution. So please feel free to send us a message. It can be privately, it can be publicly. We don't mind. Let us know what your thoughts are. And for our followers, returning listeners, thank you so much. We really, really appreciate your ongoing support. Thank you so much. So, yeah.
Yeah, and we're doing FWTC Reacts. So if you want to listen to our other catalog of FWTC Reacts or anything on our podcast, we've got different platforms that you can listen to it, which are
YouTube itself, YouTube Music,
Facebook, as well as also Spotify,
Instagram,
Apple, all your digital media spaces. You'll find them. Even up Amazon Music, you'll find that.
Oh, awesome.
Just type in FWTC podcast.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so we're back again with a new story. So yeah, what's the story?
The story goes like this. I have a problem with my fiancé. I have a child who is 16 months and his father married another wife behind my back. Then I left him. I got another boyfriend who is the current fiancé now, but my problem is he wants me to take my child to stay with his father, yet he is not taking any responsibility of the child. Now we are fighting over this issue. My plan was to leave my child at my parental home with my mom when we're married and not move with him when I move to my fiance's home. But now he wants my child to go to his father's home, yet the father is not responsible for the child since birth. What should I do?
Yeah, there's a lot. I don't know. Okay, is there a reason why he wants the child to specifically go to the father's house?
We have not been given that information.
Okay. I don't see anything wrong for a man. Let's say, for example, he has to be honest and say, look, if we're going to get married, the child that you have is, I don't have the same affections for that child as you would have. That's not wrong. But again, also on the woman's side, I think if you're going to go into a relationship, you also have to factor in that I'm coming with a child. So I have to put my child, I'm not just coming by myself.
Mm-hmm.
I have to put the livelihood of my child because I'm coming with a child. And this, if you want to take me, you take me with this.
Mm-hmm.
Ideally, that's what I would think.
Mm-hmm.
But it's difficult because it's a sense of honesty. He's honest, but I see for her side is more on the side she wants to get married, and she feels she needs to now continue her life.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, it means that sometimes the things that you've done in the past, some people won't accept them. And ideally here it seems as if he's holding all the cards because it seems as if she's desperate to get married to this guy. And then because of the desperation of her wanting to get married, he's made central ideas and saying he's made central aspects of saying this is what, if you want to get married to me, this is what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And I see in other senses, I also agree in the sense of as a man, you're supposed to put down certain laws, but I don't think this is the situation
that you should be putting down these laws.
Putting down these laws because it's something that as you are getting to know that person, you also have to understand she comes with a child. So how do you address that? And that, I think that's the challenge, because maybe from where we come from, the context is, even though you want to, maybe you personally are okay with the child, there are also other factors of where other family members are saying things, and it's like a lot of people are in your ear, to the point of where you're making your decision based on what you are hearing and not what, even maybe from the beginning you're okay with it and you're ready to step in. But I also see maybe he's also trying to protect himself and saying, oh, okay, what if I invest in this child And then in the future, the father comes, then the investment that I've put in this child will, what's it going to come to? Because we've had the story like this.
Yes, we did.
Where the father invests in the child, loves the child, but the child just has this urge of wanting to go seek for his father.
Yeah. Once he's been educated we had that story.
Yeah, his biological father. And maybe he's just being honest and saying, I wouldn't want to take that hurt. And I would rather he goes and stays with his father. But again, also on this other side, it's on the woman. She also needs to understand, maybe if this is really serious for her and she understands that this is a situation that for them to move on, this is something he won't budge. I think maybe there's also another aspect of where I think she also needs to swallow her pride. Because if she's not engaged with the father, why is she not engaged with the father? Because that's the boy's father.
What do you mean pride?
Because, like there's sometimes where some women like, based on like maybe how they got pregnant, then the boy refuses the pregnancy. And then she basically gets upset and says, I'm never going to talk to that man.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to raise this child by myself.
Got you.
So like there's a level of pride of saying, I can't go to him and he has to come to me.
Yeah.
And that's the situation I'm also looking at. But yeah, I've got a lot of things to say, but maybe I think you should respond to some of the things I've said, and I would also want to hear your points here.
No, I think you've raised some pretty good points. I think you started off on the being kind to this fiance first.
Yeah.
And I will start off with not being so kind. I'm just like, girl, this is a red flag to me personally. This would be a very major red flag. I understand the other context around it and the fact that we have to look at, like, this is not his responsibility. This child's responsibility is with this woman as well as her her previous partner. So not this current partner. It's not his responsibility. But this is a situation where you have a man. You are in this, and I'm gonna look at it as, let's say this man does not want to, because the girl has said he has not been responsible since the birth of the child. The way it reads to me is more, it does not read a woman who is prideful. It just reads to me a man who has neglected his responsibility, rather than her saying, oh, okay, he's tried to get in contact and she's like, since you're married, I don't want anything to do with you. But we've also had scenarios where men have run away from their responsibilities. So I'm looking at it from that. This woman is now a single mother, and the father of the child has now run away from his responsibility. Now she has an opportunity. Well, I guess I'd call it I'd say opportunity, for lack of better term, to get married. And this man is basically rejecting this child. I would say it's a rejection of the child. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's completely, he's completely nuts, like I get the element of reasons why. And maybe he's also looking at the bigger picture, rather than, because maybe he sees that if the child lives with her mom, then he still has to somehow be responsible, because she's going to need to still be responsible. You can't just leave your child with your parents and then expect them to foot the bill for your child's upkeep. That is your responsibility. So indirectly, it still remains your responsibility. But that also rings red flags to me. First of all, you don't want the child to live with me. You want me to be split away from my 16 months. I mean, let's just take it back. 16 months, 1 year, 6 months. Some 16 months old babies are still breastfeeding. I mean, so where do you expect me to, and then you want me to take this child to a man who has never shown interest in my child? Or even if it's out of pride, if it was out of pride from the woman's side, he could have shown interest by taking her to court. Like, he could have been fighting for her, right? For the child. Yeah. So I'm like, you want me to take this child to a man who has not shown interest in this child, and this is a baby. It's not even, it's literally it's a baby. This baby there's not even say child, like this, the baby who's not even talking yet, might not be running yet, just about starting to understand what's going on in the world. This is about baby who needs nurturing, needs looking after, who is still in diapers. I mean, and you want me, the mother, to take this child to a stranger. just because there is the same DNA. I think for me that is a red flag, and I think that should make me, if I was the one about to get married to this man, that should make me want to take a step back. So I would really encourage taking a step back and trying to understand the character of this person and trying to understand the justification. Like you've said, babe, it doesn't necessarily mean like there might be a lot of things that I'm missing.
Yeah.
So we don't get the full picture, but I would really want to understand the justification for his thoughts. And what does this mean, or how does he view my child? Like I wouldn't, it's hard to impose a man to love your child. Like you can't impose somebody to love your child, and you can't impose somebody to want to take responsibility over your child. But I think as a mother, that is something I would want for my children, is for me to, if I have had children and I'm to get married again, if they're like 20, 50, they're older children, that's a different ballgame altogether in terms of level of responsibility you expected. But this is a child who needs a lot of attention. So I don't want to be doing that by myself and having two houses. This house has to somehow work together, because this is basically like this child is gone off somewhere and they're just gonna start off a new relationship together, starting afresh. He doesn't want any responsibility. He doesn't want, and I'm like, if he can treat your own flesh and blood like that, marriage has its challenges. So I know you're doubting, but for me, I'm just like, this is not just I don't know. I'm getting very motherly. I'm just like, if you're gonna treat my baby like that and have that kind of attitude towards my baby, then I have to really think twice about how you're gonna treat my child in future and how you're gonna treat me as well in future. And I think we've had so many of these scenarios where we especially in the last few scenarios we've had where people have lost their spouses, and that's something else. As much as we don't like to talk about it and we don't want to talk about it, that's something to also consider when you're entering into a new relationship. So how would he treat this child in future? And it seems like you said, she's and she's saying she's going into his house. So it really seems like it's just a relationship between the two of them rather than a sort of like a family union.
I understand where you're coming from, but I think you what's the word? I have a word. You're being unfair here.
Okay. And
I feel like maybe also on the other side of women, you're very quick to have this red flag. Let's say if the man also did the same thing on the woman.
What do you mean?
She's got red flags.
What do you mean?
She's coming with a baby before she's married. So I'm just supposed to, and I feel like maybe this is why like sometimes I'm a bit harsh with women, because I'm saying that you women, you have to really think about your position in this world and saying, look, I have to protect myself. The way you're coming out is like, I should feel sorry for you because you've got a child.
No, I don't think. I think you're missing. My point is not that you should feel sorry for me, and I think this is the thing. My point, because you're saying then I'm being unfair. Maybe that's his red flag.
Yeah.
So if it's a red flag, then that means both of you should not be together in this relationship. There are men who are willing to have a relationship and enter a marriage with women who have children, and they, vice versa. There are women who are willing to enter a relationship with men who have children. If that is your red flag and you're going to say this is my point is it's a red flag for me as a woman, this would be my red flag. But if a man came to me and said he doesn't want to marry me because I have a child, I have to respect that. That's I know that generally there are some men out there who wouldn't want to marry me if I had a child. So that means me having a child means that I might not be somebody's cup of tea. And I just need to respect that. So what I don't want is somebody trying to compromise their red flags and turning it into amber. Like, this is what is happening because she does come with a package. So if she comes with a package. So if you don't, you just can't get, you just can't get her without the child. Like, this is very different. It seems like he wants to really separate the two and separate the unity.
No. I don't agree with that. Why is it a red flag when the guy is being honest? You have a choice. I've told you.
What do you mean? Yeah,
I'm
then
being
that's what I'm
honest.
saying. The girl needs, it's a red flag. So if she is his red flag, he needs to go.
No,
if
but let's say-
she is
let's
not
say-
seeing that what he's doing should be, as I'm saying,
But
it's not a red flag to her, but it would be a red flag to me, then I need to go.
Okay,
I need to protect me and my baby.
Yeah.
And the thing is, she's also a problem. Why was she even thinking of leaving the baby with the mother? We haven't even dealt with that.
Let's go back to the red flag.
Okay.
Let's go back to the red flag. You come. I think maybe the thing that maybe highlighted my mind.
Ping.
Yes, is because I ideally went to red flag instead of basically saying, "Oh, she's coming with something. She's got I don't want to say baggage. She's got a child." And now it's like you're forcing the guy to basically accept you with the child. This is 16 months. She's just given birth at 16 months. And she's already going into a relationship. And she's already wants to have a fiancé. So what's her logic of what does she want to do? And then on the other side, I'm saying a guy is in his right. I'm saying I don't agree with this. Personally.
No, I agree with you that it's okay if he doesn't want to marry her because she has a child. I think that you are allowed to make that decision. I don't think.
But don't you see from this?
Criticize you because
don't you think from this statement he's basically giving what's the word?
Ultimatum?
He's giving an ultimatum and saying for us to get married, this needs to happen. So for him, he's got his lines that he won't draw, and saying I won't get married to you unless this happens. So why can't she also have her own lines?
That's what I was saying.
And basically say I can't get married to you
unless he's willing to have to and I would like a man who will accept me with my child.
But my question is, why is it a red flag? Let's say for example, if you came to me, I have a child. You tell me I can't get married to you unless I have to be honest with you. You having a child is complicated for me.
Then that's okay. We draw separate ways.
But why? Do you think it's fair for me to say that's a red flag because you're not accepting my child?
What do you mean?
If I had a child.
Huh? If you had a child?
Yes.
And I didn't
could not accept it. And you've basically...
So you don't like my terminology of red flag?
I think so.
I think generally, baby, you don't like that terminologies of red flag. For me, red flag doesn't... For me, it's like being pinky. It's a flag. It's a flag. It's basically a flag saying, okay, this like... She has a criteria. Okay, I'll take away the phrase red flags because then we just go and start defining ourselves.
Okay.
I will just replace it with, I think the fact that she has a child, a baby, she should be looking for someone who will accept her and her baby as a unity rather than looking for someone who wants to split the both of them.
Yeah.
And it's not only just split the both of them, he's taken it a step further because I feel like there are some men who will say, well, because she was willing to allow her and the baby to be split by her going to the house and her leaving the baby with her parents, with her mom. But he took it a step further and said, no, I would rather the baby went and lived with his father. So I think for me, that's two things. So first of all, he doesn't want my child to be living with us. And second of all, why is it that he's so insistent on this child being looked after by a man who has clearly not shown responsibility for him? I know maybe he's demanding that he shows responsibility based on maybe his experiences, maybe he's seen it. Maybe he's seen that story where someone has looked after a child from a baby. They've grown into a man and they don't want anything to do with them. But at the same time, he is insistent. Could it be that it's from experience and fear, or is it because he's greedy? Because he doesn't want to use his money to be looking after another man's child.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I'm saying...
So she needs to analyze that. And for me, those two things are saying, girl, you should not be running into a relationship. Why are you running into a relationship?
Yeah.
As in, she also has things that we need to address. Because you said something before at the beginning, you said it sounds like she's desperate.
Yeah.
I agree with you. It sounds like she's desperate to get married. She has a baby. I don't know whether she's, we don't know whether she's working, whether she's figured herself out, whether she's financially stable, but we do know that she's living in her parents' home. What is the rush for her to, she's just left. And we also haven't addressed the other thing, which we might not address in this episode, I think. The fact that she was married. So it wasn't like she was single and got pregnant. These are two different scenarios.
But she was married.
Yes.
What does it say then?
At the beginning, she said, I have a child. I have a problem with my fiance. I have a child who is 60 and his father married another wife behind my back. Oh, okay. We don't know actually if she was married. She just said his father married another wife. But the way she says another wife suggests that she was the wife before.
Okay. Maybe. We'll assume that maybe they were not married. But let's say, for example, again,
then she says, I got another boyfriend. So maybe they were not married.
Yeah, but let's say, for example, like if we had to go break it down, the father is married to another wife. Maybe what if the other wife is also saying that was maybe her criteria and saying, I don't want you to basically have any contact with that child.
Yeah, that could have been.
And now this is what I'm saying. This is why it becomes blurry and saying that, look, on this sense of where I'm saying us doing things without commitment or us doing things without having a direction of where we want to be, it becomes messy and complicated. Having child out of the context of marriage becomes very complicated, and it's very few people who accept to raise somebody else's child. And even there are some people who will do it, but they'll have a bitterness towards it. And I think these are certain things that we need to always think about. And I think not just think about the moment, but think further and saying, how should I conduct myself in a relationship? We agree. Some people make mistakes. But now if the mistake, it's now like you're trying to fit the mistake and trying to have the perfect picture. She has a child who is
a baby.
Focus on the child.
Abandon the baby, basically. She wants to leave the baby.
And I think for me,
with her mother.
Personally, I think she's the problem, not the guy.
I agree.
Because I'm saying, look, you have a baby. The guy
has said,
you have a baby.
I can't marry you with the baby.
Yeah, and you have a baby. So focus on your baby.
She needs to leave this guy and focus on her life and the baby and find a guy who will help.
No, I think maybe
later in time, she needs to find a guy who will accept her and her child.
I agree, but I think this is not the season.
Well, yeah, that's what I said later.
I think, I don't know what season, to be honest. Maybe I'm just, from my perspective, I think right now, focus on your child and try to see what you can do in this season of where you are trying to find a way of how to take care of your child.
Yeah, because we don't know when they split up with it. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you go in a direction of where now, especially like when we know in the marriage, as much as we like it, like women, you also know you're going under authority based on the biblical principles. If you're going under, even like I say, cultural principles, you're going under authority of the man, and the man will tell you what he wants in his house. And if he does not want your child, you have to be able to accept that. Because I'm not saying it's right, but it's also understanding the roles that we are in society, especially from the context of, let's say, from an African context, as well as also I'm trying to say from a biblical context. Somebody has to really show you love. And I think the love that somebody will really show you is also the love that they'll have for your child.
Yeah, literally.
And as a woman, you have to also gauge and say, look, I'm not just going there for my own prerogative.
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming here and saying, I want what's best for my child and myself.
Mm-hmm.
You have to now put yourselves together. And when you're going forward, this is how you need to treat this. Whoever wants to come into your space has to understand, I'm coming with a child.
Mm-hmm.
And if people won't accept you, that's okay. But the good thing that we see, especially in scripture, is not that because people have rejected you because you have a child, God still accepts you.
Mm-hmm.
The child is a blessing. It's not that. And I think sometimes we always fixate, because I think maybe we talk about, marriage so much, it becomes an issue of where people who are not in it I don't want to be in it so much and want to feel like, oh, I want to experience all these things. And it's good. Marriage is a good thing. I'm not going to lie. It's a good thing. Also comes with its other challenges and everything like that. But you also need to understand you just don't marry for the sake of marrying.
I'm telling you.
Because there are also other things that you need to also put in perspective. Right now, I think there's a child, and I think the child needs to be the focus than you starting to, because it's already messy. You have an ex-boyfriend who you haven't concluded. 16 months is too little. It's too little for you to start making lifetime decisions, because now you're going to take that child to what's that, to the father. Let's say he accepts. So now what I think it also now brings another aspect of, I think the other danger I have is if you now draw this line of this is what my husband would do, you end up rejecting your son. You won't even say, like, let's say, for example, because I think I have a problem with the guy.
Oh, now you have a problem with it.
I do have a problem with him because he does not, it seems to, he's not budging to the point of even, like, let's say, take the child to, if like, let's say, I don't want to just raise the child in this house. That's okay. I'll take the child to my mother, but he's still forcing it. Why?
Exactly.
But again, I also understand maybe sometimes he also wants to see if the woman is submissive to him, but I don't think this is the point.
He's pushing a child to go to be looked after by a man who does not want the child. You're basic. Why would you do that? Like, this is what I'm saying. Look at his train of thought.
Yeah.
Yes, I can understand why he might want to make sure the child is raised by the father, but the bottom line is the father is not present, and the father has not taken responsibility of this child. So why am I going to take my baby, I'm just like, how people I know you didn't agree, you did not agree with it, Temelo, but I do see that there's traits sometimes in how people treat you, like how people treat you, how people treat your relatives, how people treat your family, your friends. These are things that you can start to see. He loves you, right? But he is willing for you to take your own baby, your flesh and blood, somebody who you truly probably love in this world. Well, I would have expected you love a lot more than, this man that you just met, and you take to someone who does not show love towards them. So where does that leave you? How can he, when marriage is not sweet anymore, how do you think he's going to treat you? Yeah, I know you don't agree, babe, but I don't agree. Nah, you got to see some of these traits, some of these attitudes of how people behave in different ways can also be a projection of how sometimes people can treat you. Sometimes just because you guys are in love and he's lovey-dovey and sweet and all cushy and giving you money and stuff like that is nice to you. What happens when you're the person he does not like? Because there are ways in how people treat, you see that someone's mean, someone swears, someone's aggressive, someone towards other people, towards their neighbors, towards their cousins and stuff. And you're just like, oh, that's just them because they upset him. But how he responds in an adversity, or how somebody, not even just him, this is a general principle, like how she responds towards her family, her cousins, how she speaks to them, whatever. These are things that you can be looking at that might give you an indication of how someone might treat you when things are not good, because there are going to be times where you don't like each other. There are going to be times where you probably hate each other. You don't even want to see each other. But how are they going to treat you how they treat you in that moment? Sometimes you wouldn't be surprised because you've seen how they've treated other people out there.
That's true. I see one side, but I also look at it from another side and saying that he can have the argument of saying, yeah, they're not my responsibilities. I know it's selfish to say that.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's a matter of the heart.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You're getting to see someone's, yes, it's not your responsibility. That's what I'm saying. Like, so if he's so a neighbor, like these are traits of how someone can behave towards other people who are not his responsibility. So what about your mother, for example, if your mother was in need? So what about your father, if your father was in need? What about your sister who was in significant need? But this is your child who needs nurturing, educating, everything. in this moment in time, it's a vulnerable baby who cannot even speak and defend themselves. So how does somebody treat other people? So this is also a characteristic that you can possibly pick up on the type of person that he is, because when you're just dating and you're all lovey-dovey, things are rosy and they're nice and you're so gentle with each other, but they're traits that you can see in your partner, in who they are as a person. It's not just how a person is, just not who they are towards you. It's also who they are towards other people, and also who they are towards people that they don't even know, the stranger in the street, the people at work. It's a lot more than just what you know when you're the two of you. A person is made up of a lot more than that. And these are opportunities for you to open your eyes and to see the character, the heart of the person that you're marrying.
Yeah, but let me just drive the conversation to a different direction. What if this is another situation where you feel like he feels having this child is going to also accepting this child means that will also go to the aspect of undermining the aspect of his authority. Because, like, let's say there's some women who would say, this is my child. I know how to discipline my child. Don't do this to my child. What if he's trying to avoid those things?
Those are things that when you're marrying somebody who has a child, whether it's a man or a woman, you need to sit down. Like, these are when you're courting, you're dating, and you know, when we say these are the questions you should ask each other, these are the things you should, when there's now another party involved and you have a child or children, these are situations you need to discuss. Discipline, how does that work? Decisions, how do they work? Decisions such as school, such as visits to family, just as how they, you know, if the father was involved, how does that work? What is the dynamics? And some of these things you can't fully answer in a relationship. Some of these things, some scenarios, just like marriage, you can't fully prepare for marriage. Some scenarios are brought to you in whilst you're in the marriage itself. But I think these things can be overcome, just the same way that when you're married, once you're married, it's not every challenge we face that we could have foreseen. Some of the things we've had to learn a lot of the things we've had to learn whilst we're married. It's a little bit like that when you're bringing in a child, that there's going to be some scenarios that you never, and different children are going to bring different challenges. Yeah, but the question is how, if she's going to say to you, it's my child and I'm going to raise the child how I want, then you have to decide whether that is a marriage. That's the beauty about dating and figuring out. You have an opportunity to say, no, I'm not going to do it. So if she is saying, this is how I'm going to raise my child, it's my child, then please, you have every right as a man to leave and just say, I ain't marrying you because I don't want drama in my house.
I agree with that. But what if the conversation, let's say I'm taking it further, the conversation was more on the side of that angle, where he is now reacting towards her just saying, this is my child and I know how to treat my child.
Well, then he has to communicate that. She didn't communicate that in this.
Okay, I agree with that. But let's say then he comes and says, okay, this child will be a problem. And this is what I'm not saying it's right. To be honest, I don't even know why I'm arguing for this. It's not right. Yeah. It's not right in that sense. Okay.
For no reason.
Let's look at it from a biblical perspective.
Okay.
I also now need to understand, like, look, from a biblical perspective, I understand, like, there are certain things that will challenge us as we are going through the journey of life. In this case, we also see, like, as well, I think what we've talked about this, there's a very, very high chance of people who are getting married will either come in blended families or they'll just have, it won't be as normally what we want to portray as things should be when you get married. We come in a very hypersexualized context. A lot of sin is everywhere, and for the sake of just saying whatever we have to say is that sin is going to be flourishing in various forms and ways. But from a biblical perspective, we have to be able to understand we live in a broken world. But how do we try to live in this broken world that we live in? The broken world will come with various angles. but we need the grace of God to help us address these things. It's not hard to live in a blended family. It will be difficult, but God will give you the grace to live with that situation. So him going with the side of wanting to say, I cannot deal with this child, I think needs to be something that, because I think sometimes as people we want to be able to we want to be able to do it in our own strength, to the point of where we have to do it in a particular way and take out God out of the situation. And also understanding that God sometimes takes us maybe this for us to help us understand who he is, or help us understand something that we'll never understand if we never went through this situation. Maybe raising that child will be another way of just seeing the love of God in you raising this child. And maybe I think sometimes we always look at also some of the things in the past where like a child has done this. It's not like every child will do that. It's not like every child will reject you. What if a child loves you and is grateful towards you and all that stuff? So you have to be able to understand that these things and these matters will leave to God. And also the woman, I think on her side, I think there is a desperation I can see. And that desperation can come to a point of where it's not nice being desperate, because desperation will end up making you sell your child. Because it's basically like when we look at the story with is it Jacob and Esau? Out of desperation, he sells his birthright. And I think this is where I'm seeing the attitude of the woman. She's so desperate to the point of where she's not thinking of it logically. And I think this is now where I think we need to either speak to her. I think people need to come and speak to her in this situation and say, you need to think about this in the right context. And I think this is why I think you always also have to go from an aspect of where people who are wiser than you, because people who are wiser than you will help direct those desperations and help you understand maybe this is not the time. Because I think sometimes some people will always think, oh, this is a time, oh, we felt this person was not going to get married. Somebody has come. Just because somebody has come, even though he's wrong for in all categories, just because he's come, we never thought there would be anybody coming. We just have to accept. And that's like you're now dumbing down the criterias. Just because somebody has accepted me, I thought there would be no one to accept me. The first thing you need to understand is God has accepted you, and that's more than enough. If these other things, God in his own timing will allow them, if that's his will. And let's focus on those things. God has given you a beautiful child at the moment. Focus on that child. See what you can do. In due time, all things will work together for good for those who love the Lord. It will come at that moment if that is where God is directing you. And that should be the focus for the woman. Do you have anything to add there?
No, I think you've summarized it really well. Yeah, I think you summarized it really well. And I think the only thing we didn't touch on, I wanted to add, but this is like, you summarized it so nicely. I don't want to now go back, but it was just about the mom. Like as a mother, like I wonder what she thought about the whole situation and the whole idea, because she suggested that she would let the child stay with the mom. But that's also one way of kind of giving her wisdom and advising her when your children come to you with such scenarios and situations.
But one of the things I see is that I think the desperation sometimes also kicks in, especially from parents.
That's true. Sometimes parents can also be happy with the situation that you're getting married.
Yeah.
And then they're happy. To be fair, we do have a culture, which I do love, of looking after each other and looking after our children's children. We do have that loving culture and that kind of open home situation, which in one way can be good, but in other ways can be detrimental. In like, for instance, if she hasn't spoken to her mom, but she knows that, oh, if I brought this up, I know my mom wouldn't have a problem with it, kind of thing.
So yeah, maybe we can go to a few comments and just see what people are saying on this story.
Oh yeah. All right, let's have a look. So Excuse me, it's gone off. It has gone off, so perhaps you can read. Oh, okay. Thank you very much. This one is a good one. Straight to the point. I hate your desperation for marriage. You are about to be unfair to both your mother and your child, all because you want to marry that man. What would happen if you have a child or two with him and then the marriage fails? Will you go dump the kids at poor mother's place again? Learn to do things right, even though you have a mother who is supportive.
Yeah, that's true. And again, maybe she'll also be in the same predicament when when she wants to get married again. They're saying take them to the father. Yeah.
Another one. A man who truly loves you will love your family as well. Leave him. You can't abandon your own blood for a selfish stranger who is not even related to you. An angel will come your way to care for you both.
Yeah. Well,
the truth hurts.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I suppose, okay, I'll move to the next one. Such a small child, you want to leave them. Over what? Hey, if that fiancé can accept you with your child, you should leave him. Move on as a package. That child is too young. Also, for you, how in your right mind do you want to leave your small child over a simple man? Don't be that desperate for marriage.
Yeah, I see the desperation, and I'm saying, but I also understand. Like, look, sometimes maybe people are also looking at it from another side of where, like, they're saying the man is wrong, but I think here they're not also giving. Are they balanced? Do you think they're balanced?
No, everybody's attacking. Everybody's. To be honest, I think they're balanced in the sense of they are telling her off as well. They're saying, how can you think of leaving such a young baby?
Yeah.
Why are you so desperate for marriage? You should understand that this man is blah, 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 blah. So I do think yes, because they're saying that, I know what you're highlighting that because a lot of them are saying that the gentleman is greedy, unwelcoming. I think this is the one I was reading. Like he's greedy, he's unwelcoming, he doesn't love you and the baby. You come as a package. She's also being questioned and saying, why are you going there? Because this guy is showing you his colors, but at the same time, this is the baby. Like, why are you leaving a baby? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is coming like, why are you living your own flesh and blood? What exactly are you trying to achieve? Yeah, I think asking you to take your child to his father at 16 months, think twice. You are even thinking of leaving your child at your parents' home when you marry him. If he can't love you with your child, leave him, let go. Your child will always be your child. But it's true. There are elements of, marriages are supposed to last, but they don't always last.
No, but let's say by definition, if we have to look at it from a biblical perspective, ideally, these are the ones which are only separated by death. Children will leave, other people will leave, and everything like that. They will leave.
That's true.
But you're supposed to be with that person. So, so it's blurry here because again, sometimes maybe some people say you're focusing too much on the child instead of you understanding what marriage is.
Yes, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no. Were you gonna finish? Continue.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I found a nice one here. It says, Mia can't take my child to my mother's house and raise other kids in the matrimonial home.
Yeah.
So the question is, so what happens when you now have kids? So you're gonna have kids in this house, and then one child is.
Yeah, but I also now understand, like, let's say there's another thing I just want to add here is like, it's very easy for a man. This is me just hypothetically saying it. I don't think it's right, but it's easier for women to accept to raise somebody else's child than, I don't know why. We've had this conversation.
Is it?
Where we've said that, remember that time when we're looking at blue therapy, where you're saying if she had children, I would not raise her children. True. But he wants her to accept his children. And I don't know why. Women will be okay to raise other people's children and everything like that. And but when it comes to them, and I think this is unfair, but we also have to understand we live in an unfair world. And I think because of the unfairness that comes, that's why I'm saying, like, women have to be very vigilant and very protective and say, look, these are my lines, and I'm not basically dropping on these lines, because you'll be put in a predicament that you do not want to be in. And I think this is another situation where you're saying some men will not raise another man's child.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's right, but that's just the way. Living in a sinful world, this is what we see. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
Yeah.
I think I'll end on this one.
Yeah.
Which was quite nice. I think no matter how much you love, please don't rush. One day that child will need explanation. Children are a gift from God. No matter how they came to this earth, as a parent, it is your duty to make sure your child is well protected mentally, emotionally, etc. You brought that child on this earth. Your blessings are wrapped in that child. God bless.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, that's true. And I think that's the thing that she should be focusing on. The blessing that God has given you.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes we tend to forget, like, there is a blessing here, a child. I need to take care of the child, but you're now focused on the next thing. And I think maybe sometimes some people think marriage is the blessing. And we're trying to say, I would rather trade this blessing for a better blessing. And then I say, no. Focus on this at the moment. This child will need energy and everything. I'm just like, 16 months is too early for you to even start making. You're already engaged. So what does that? I don't know how long she's been in a relationship then. So I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, this is why we see the brokenness of the world. It's like everybody's trying to figure out themselves in this messed up world.
Yeah.
But I think the good thing is God has given us the whole narrative of what we can fully find satisfaction, and that's in Him. We will be chasing all these things, but they'll only bring satisfaction for a season. And these are things that are not everlasting. But the everlasting situation that God has given us is us having a relationship with Him, an eternal relationship, and us giving ourselves to Him and finding salvation in Him. That's what we should focus on. You having a child, God accepts you. Even though other people will not reject you, God accepts you. And that's the blessing of God Himself. He's a loving God.
Yeah.
So anything you want to add?
No, thank you.
So thank you very much for listening to this podcast. We're thankful for the opportunity for you guys to listen to this. And like we always say, like, subscribe, and
share.
And until next time, thank you very much, and God bless, and take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.